We'll speak to the ranking member on the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament pretty shortly, but my colleague, parliamentary correspondent Kweku Asante, is with me now. Kweku, we are learning a bit more tonight about the circumstances of the secret recording. The Parliamentary Committee probing this will certainly be interested. Have they started work yet?
Not yet, Evans. At the time the Speaker of Parliament confirmed that this committee will be set, he gave leadership on both sides up to the end of this week to bring 3 names on each side. The Speaker of Parliament has not been in the jurisdiction the whole of this week, and so no announcement has been made on the floor yet. And so we want to confirm the details. 3 members each on both sides, and a consensus on 1 independent person, a technical person to help them form the committee. But already, there is that 6-point terms of reference that this yet to be named members of the committee will have to implement in terms of finding the veracity of this. And let me run through you, Evans, the terms of reference of this committee. First, they have to establish the authenticity of the leaked audio recording. Secondly, they have to investigate the conspiracy to remove the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kufu Dampare. Third, they have to investigate any other matter contained in the audio recording. The fourth TOR is to recommend sanctions to persons found culpable where appropriate. Fifth, make recommendations for reforms where necessary. And finally, to make any other such recommendations and consequential orders as the committee may deem appropriate. So this is the 6th reference. These are the pointers that the committee will be finding out in terms of investigating what exactly has been said on that tape. And we expect that by close of day tomorrow, the Speaker of Parliament will give some indication in terms of the numbers that have been submitted on both sides, and this other independent person said to assist the committee do this work.
Kweku, thank you very much. James Agalga is the ranking on the Defense and Interior Committee, joins us now. Mr. Agalga, so we've now listened to Bugri Nabu, who is a former Northern Regional Chairman of the Governor New Patriotic Party. I'm pretty sure you've also listened to what he says. He confirms this meeting indeed did take place in his house. The people had come to him. We now know they were senior officers, and they had discussed, as we've heard in the tape now, this particular plot. What's your reaction to what we've heard tonight?
Well, Evans, first of all, I think the admissions made by Bugri Nabu in that interview that we heard a while ago goes a long way to, as it were, sort of authenticate the leaked audio without, prejudicing the work of the committee that would be composed to look into this matter. I would say that this particular admission would make the work of the committee easier, because one of the terms of reference that the committee was given is to authenticate the audio. And so if one of the persons implicated in the audio comes out to say that, look, indeed such a meeting took place, some police officers visited him, and for which reason, the leak tape clearly is not something that was fabricated, then clearly the committee's work is going to be made much, much, much easier. But Evans, what tickles me is the fact that the National Investigations Bureau has chosen to zero in on employees of Mr. Bugri Nabu. My worry is that I hope this is not going to be a cover-up. I would expect the NIB to do a very holistic investigation so that the police officers who stand implicated in that audio are not left off the hook. In as much as Bugri Nabu and officers that he has engaged have questions to answer, the police officers, and some of them names have been mentioned. I don't want to repeat those names here. I expect that they would also be invited and interrogated, because there is clearly a criminal aspect to this whole matter. And I made the point in my earlier interaction with you that the content of the leaked audio smacks of crime, very high crimes. I mean, you can talk about treason, etc. And so we expect that NIB should do some criminal investigation, but the investigation must be holistic enough so that all the people implicated in that tape are investigated. It should not end with Bugri Nabu and his employees.
In this particular conversation, and where he talks about this particular meeting that happened in his house, he also denies that he, in essence, encouraged this plot. He says they had come to see him because he's a senior party officer. But the work of the committee hasn't begun yet, from what I understand. Are we any close to looking into this and taking this, I guess, the confessions is made here as part of the process of unraveling the mystery surrounding this?
Quite naturally, this video, this interview, comes in very handy for the committee that would be set up eventually, because in it you'd find some confessions to the effect that the leaked tape, as a matter of fact, is authentic, and so any committee worth its salt would want to seriously consider the audio. It's yet another piece of revelation who should assist the committee that will be set up in this investigation. No question about that.
The NIB, from what we heard from Bugri Nabu, he's actually appealing for help to find his two associates who've been picked up. The NIB, if indeed that's what has happened, they will simply be doing their job. They need to understand what happened surrounding the tape. You've raised issues about, that you're hoping they're doing their work properly. Isn't that what investigators really do, is to understand before you actually go further? And these two individuals may have been arrested upon a tip-off. There's pretty sketchy details surrounding this. We don't know much yet around this.
But Evans, I have had cause to complain about the modus operandi of the successor organization, BNI, now NIB. It's, essentially the same outfit. If you arrest suspects, one, they have the right to legal representation. Their employer deserves to know their whereabouts. But time would outnumber the NIB. I don't know. They sees themselves as not belonging to the mainstream security apparatus, and therefore the criminal procedure of the country, the constitutional injunctions that must be respected. When an investigative body is dealing with suspects, it's usually not complied with. And so I'm not surprised that Mr. Bugri Nabu is alleging that he doesn't even know the whereabouts of his employees. That is unacceptable. The NIB should open up. The suspects deserve to be represented by a lawyer of their choice. The presence of a lawyer is not going to prevent the NIB from carrying out their investigation. So NIB must be told in plain language that, look, when you pick up suspects, allow the suspects to exercise their constitutional right to be represented by lawyers of their choice. At the end of the day, if they deem it fit to prefer charges, why not? The lawyers will defend their clients in court. But you cannot deny clients access to the public. You cannot. It's a no, and the NIB must be told in plain language. Look, otherwise, what has happened to the suspects could pass for kidnapping. So if it is indeed true that the suspects are in the custody of the NIB, they must respect their rights.
Let's talk about the committee. The terms of reference was laid out last week. Do we know the composition of the 7-member committee yet? And when will they start work?
Evans, the Speaker, as you may be aware, is out of the country on an official assignment. Before he left, he actually expressed a lot of interest in supervising the composition of the committee and the appointment of a technical person to assist the committee. So he gave out directives to the minority side and the majority side to nominate 3 persons, 3 honorable members from either side for the committees, to be duly constituted, in addition to a technical person who would also be appointed. Now, because of his absence, the leadership of the minority and majority sides have not submitted the names yet. The reason is that the Speaker expressed a lot of interest in this matter and wants to handle it all by himself. So he did not delegate his functions to his deputies to act in his stead, while he's out there on an official assignment. So I am pretty sure that the move, as soon as he arrives, that would be one of the things he would want to clear. And once that is done, I'm sure the committee would kick the ball rolling, because this is a very urgent matter, which must be treated as such. The interview that was granted today makes it even more imperative for the parliamentary committee to act with dispatch, so that we get to the bottom of this matter, because the implications of the content in the audio, if it is substantiated, could have very dire consequences for our country's security, which is why we must treat this as a matter of priority and urgency.
One of the characters in this secret recording is now speaking publicly on this. Are we going to see a situation where the committee invites him and the others who are yet to confirm if indeed they were the voices we heard on this particular tape?
Yes, Evans, quite naturally, any committee worth its salt would want to engage the person who spoke today. That interview which was aired, clearly any committee would want to interrogate a person like that, in addition to all the police officers who also spoke on the audio. The voices would have to be authenticated, and if the identities of those who are suspected to be the persons who actually spoke in that leaked audio, are established, then definitely they will have serious questions to answer. So for a start, yes, you'd want to match the voices with the suspected identifiable persons that would come into mind. And once that is done, you'd want to invite them and interrogate them. So I expect the committee to look into these matters. I'm happy that the Speaker made it very clear that he was going to appoint an expert to assist the committee. So maybe, who knows, a voice expert, somebody who is knowledgeable in ICT, to assist the committee, so that when it comes to determining whether the audio is authentic or not, you definitely would need some IT specialist, a voice expert, maybe. And so we would wait patiently for the Speaker to determine what type of expert would want to assist the committee to do its work.
Thank you very much, James Agalga. He's a ranking on the Defense and Interior Committee. Let's bring in Adams Bonner, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Security Warehouse Limited, a security analyst himself. Mr. Bonner, what do you make of the revelations tonight that associates of Bugri Nabu has been picked up? He himself confirms this meeting that was secretly recorded happened in his house.
Well, Evans, good evening to your listeners. It's disappointing that the NIB will be going for the whistleblower instead of those who were captured in the tape, attempting and planning to wreck this country and destroy this country.
But that's an example. We don't know yet why they were arrested and whether or not they did the recording and the circulation.
Evans, the Constitution of this country enjoins all of us to defend the Constitution with our lives. So as for those who according to the Constitution, I should have probably looked for the relevant article. If you go through it tells us that if you identify anyone who is plotting, trying, and attempting to destroy this country, and in your bid, you do whatever you have to do to stop the person. In your bid to do that, I'm just paraphrasing, in your bid to do that, if you were injured or even if you die, the Constitution makes provision for you to be compensated. And so for me, the substance here is not those who recorded and those who planted the tape. The substance here is those who are caught or those who have been caught on the tape allegedly, plotting to subvert the will of the people allegedly, plotting to do the unthinkable, plotting to do all manner of things, which I do believe that needs to be investigated. And so as far as I'm concerned, Evans, we even have it, the Whistleblowers Act. We have an act. We have a law that protects people who do these things. Okay, people are in court today for secretly recorded tapes. Has anyone arrested anyone who might have recorded these people before those people were put to court?
Yeah, but Mr. Bona, I hear you, but I'm saying right now we don't know why those two individuals were picked up. We don't know that yet. We don't know if it's because they were whistleblowers.
Bugri Nabu. Let's all take it from where Bugri Nabu.
He himself does not know. He's looking for them. He's appealing for media help to locate them.
He said it could be linked.
It could be linked. Yes, he says it could be linked.
He said it could be linked to the tape.
Yes, that's not certainty, is it? I mean, he doesn't know for sure. He may be
linked.
But
Evans, I was in a conference recently, a day or two ago, with one of the key suspects in this particular leaked tape. And I can tell you on authority that they are still working free. I can tell you on authority that they are still working free. So let me ask you, these two people who have been picked up, the receptionist and the aides to Bugri Nabu, let me ask you, did you hear their voices on the tape? Did you hear them say that, you know what, we have to use ways and means? Did you? My point, these are things that will cripple this country if we don't get them right.
Mr. Bona, thank you very much. And what's your take on this? 055-11-11997 Newsnight in a minute.